Hello everybody, this is Kyrix with more This Week in Kyrix. This is for the week of Wednesday, March 6th, 2019, being recorded on Sunday, March 10th, 2019, for reasons. This is take 2 of the recording, because you see I started it, and the new roommate decided he wanted to knock on the door and tell me there's cake in the house. I don't give a shit. I'm in here recording, for the first time in weeks, because I actually have the time now. And I'm also in a pretty foul mood because he again got into my goddamn food. I asked for very little. I asked that you stay out of my shit, and very little else. You know? I don't care what you do in your own time. I don't care what you do with your own money. Just, when I have food, and I do not give it to you, don't get into it. It's a simple rule that any human being could follow. Any human being except him. Thanks for that. Don't care. And then he gets mad at me, like, oh, I offered you cake, faggot. I'm like, I don't care about cake. Dude, do you have any idea how much food you've taken from me? I have lost over $100 of food to this guy. And I still can't get that throw thing right. But, yeah, I'm a little pissy about that. Little pissy. Just can't imagine why I'd be so mad about such a thing. And I told him, look, if my door's closed and you hear me talking and you know damn well there's not another human in here with me, there is nothing going on short of a physical emergency that justifies you knocking on that door. If it's not vital, if it's not the sort of shit you would wake me up over, don't knock. Because I'm recording. I'm trying to get shit done. I have a job that prevents me from doing this shit on the schedule I used to do it on. So don't take away what little time I do have for it. So, we're going to address the elephant in the room that I tried to address before my roommate decided that cake trumped everything. Like, oh, I've got cake, yeah. You know what you don't got out there? Mac and tuna. I used to have mac and tuna. And that's the thing, is he's getting into shit that I can check, you know? I know damn well how much mac and tuna I had yesterday, or at least the last time I looked. And there's significantly less, you know? And he thinks I'm not going to be pissed about that? But anyway, I received comments about this game that while I was at work, that I basically got spammed with like 3 or 4 messages about this comment, and I don't know if it's because he kept going back and editing it, if he legitimately spammed it and YouTube auto-deleted half of them, or if it's because, oh, I don't even know, he kept changing his name or something. But, anyway, the question was basically, why are you playing such a boring-ass game, etc., this game is stupid, you know, how could anyone find this entertaining? Well, first off, it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be entertaining to watch. That's the whole point of this entire program on my channel called This Week in Kyrix. This Week in Kyrix exists solely for me. You're allowed to watch it. You're allowed to enjoy it. I don't know why you would, but you can. But that brings up the question of why is something on your channel that nobody's supposed to watch, and that's because when I first started out, I had a tendency to talk about everything but what I was recording. I would record an episode of Pokemon and talk about what I was doing in Mega Man. I'd record Mega Man and talk about Resident Evil, and I'd record Resident Evil and talk about anything else. And that doesn't make for good things when all you do in your channel is reference of the shit. You know what? I'm done with this map. Fuck this map. I can't throw the goddamn acid shit at all. And it's just a pain in my ass. So we're gonna switch maps. I give up on this map. This map looked fun. It's not. It's a whole new mechanic without the physical mechanics to make it work. Let's see, not Uprising. What was the other one I liked? Core Sample? Was it Unrefinery? No. Penitentiary. That was the one, I think. But anyway, the point of This Week in Kyrix is I just want to talk about shit. I want to talk about my week. I want to talk about what projects I've got in the works. And this is a place to do that. And I upload it just because, you know, I upload everything else. Why not this too? And the reason it's not an exciting game is because there is a game reviewer who also had a YouTube channel, and probably still does, who goes under the name Yahtzee Croshaw. And Yahtzee and Morton had this program they had called Let's Drown Out, where they would basically talk video game news over an hour of footage, which is why mine tends to be an hour as well. I flat out stole the thing, and I've admitted several times I stole this idea. But the point of Let's Drown Out was just, we're going to pick a boring video game that'll serve as a backdrop while we basically make a podcast. And I have tried on numerous cases, both just for shits and giggles and because sometimes whatever game I chose wasn't working, or I couldn't do it properly, or whatever. Sometimes I've chose to try this without any kind of game footage. And all this has done is, that's not going to help. Basically resulted in 5-minute videos. I'd come in, I'd talk about whatever topic I was recording, and then I'd get bored and switch off without any kind of long rambling conversations. You know, I wouldn't reminisce about things. It says, hey, I came here, this happened, done, you know. So the video game stays. And this game in particular, because it's soothing to me, it's fun, I actually enjoy it. Why do I enjoy it? Don't know. Is it dumb? Yup. But here's the thing. I watch plenty of people play first-person shooters, and I don't get that. You know, that's not fun to me. There are numerous YouTubers out there who will do videos, not even video game videos, but they'll like talk reviews or they'll talk political commentary, and you'll see them over Fortnite or Call of Duty or Overwatch or whatever, and it's just them playing this game over that backdrop. And I'm not watching that, I don't care, but there are some people who do. And there's a big difference between them and me in that my shit's recorded live. You know, when I'm doing this, I'm doing this as I talk. I'm walking and talking. What they'll do is they'll pre-record some video footage and then talk over that. Which is why they never stop and go, like, oh, I believe this is, oh my god, did you see that shot? Or, oh, son of a bitch, got sniped out of nowhere, you know. Which I don't fault them for that. That's their style and it works for them. You know, I don't particularly care. It's just not my style. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm looking for the furnace. But yeah, this game is fun to me. It's mindless, but it's fun. Meanwhile, someone could play friggin' Call of Duty, and to me it's boring as shit, but to you it's like, oh dude, Call of Duty, awesome. You know? And there's, again, nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, that's why the boring game, and so on. Where is that fucking furnace? But yeah, I've about hit the point. I even told the other roommate today, I'm like, dude, he got into, I'm like, did you get into my food? He's like, no. I'm like, then he did. He's got to go. He's like, I'll yell at him, so we'll see what, if anything, comes of that. But I'm getting sick of the fact that I can't leave food in the fridge and expect that it'll be there tomorrow. You know? I had literally one condition when he said this guy's moving in. I said, as long as he stays out of my food, we're cool. He didn't stay out of my food, we're not cool anymore. That's the only condition I had. I asked exactly one thing. And I didn't get that one thing. And it's one thing that should be really fucking easy to comply with. Hi, Oreo. I guarantee you, one of you people out there, if I said, okay, you can move in here, just don't eat my food, that wouldn't be a fucking deal breaker for you. You know? But, I mean, I'm not here so that I can police my food. I don't have the option to protect my shit. I have to trust that when I come home, the food that I bought, or the food that I cooked, or the food that I was saving is still gonna fucking be there. And we're not talking minor shit like, oh no, he ate one of my mac and cheese boxes from Kraft. No, we're talking like, oh, he ate $60 worth of food from a barbecue. And as Rio, I love you, sweetie, but now is not the time for lovin's. It's really not. I can't pet you and do this at the same time. I'm sorry, kitty. I love you, but it's not cuddles right now. But yeah, it's... Since that was at a barbecue, he can't just like, oh, my bad, man, here's $60, go get another one. You know? And I'm not exaggerating about the $60 thing either. That was a lot of expensive-ass food. Rio, here, baby. Go lay on the bed for now. I promise I will pet and snuggle on you as soon as I'm done. Oh, that does not go. And, again, I just the other night made mac and tuna, 2 pounds of it, so I could share, and my dumb ass keeps sharing with him, and he keeps fucking assuming that once you give him food once, it's okay to fucking rate it as much as you goddamn please, and it's not. And he and I are going to have serious problems because of that. And if it keeps happening, he's got to fucking go. Either he's got to go or I've got to go. And all I can say to that effect is, it's established that one of us steals things and the other does not. So one of us is a lot smarter to keep than the other one. And, yeah. But no, he's fucking giving me the finger because I yelled at him for interrupting me when he can hear my voice. Who the fuck does he think I'm talking to in here? You know? Especially since I'm not mumbling to myself, which I am known to do. I'm sitting here talking, obviously, to someone or something. And he knows I record shit. It's come up before. So, obviously, I'm in here doing shit, and he's, oh, knock, 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 here, there's cake out here. I don't give a shit. You know? Even if he bought me a cake, which he didn't, he was sharing cake. Even if he bought me a goddamn cake, it would not make up for all the shit he's stolen. Honestly, I have half a mind to take that cake into work and just leave it in the break room. What happened? Oh, you gave me a piece of cake, so I thought it was okay to take the whole goddamn thing with me. You know, because apparently that's how that shit works. That when you're offered a piece of something, you could just go back to it. And I even told his ass this time, because I know he steals shit. I said, you may have one singular bowl of mac and tuna. Stay out of it. This is my dinner. You know, this is all the food I fucking have. Because I have money now, but I don't have a lot of money now, because I'm still getting caught up on 10 years of bills and shit that I owe people. Which means 90% of my money is going to paying people off and replacing shit that's broken over the past decade that I only now have the money to fix. That leaves no fucking money for food. So when I buy food, it has to last me. And he doesn't care. And because of him, I now don't have food. My food's been cut in half. That mac and tuna in there would have lasted me the whole week. Now, maybe 3 days. And it's fucking bullshit. You know? I mean, that's a $10, actually, it's more like a $12 fucking meal. Doesn't sound like a lot to you, but when that's your food budget, you know, that's a lot. And now I'm going to have to borrow more money from the roommate. But I'm so sick of his shit. I'm done. I'm fucking done with his ass. You know, it's not a difficult proposition to not take things that don't belong to you. And the fact that he's doing it is proof that he doesn't give a shit. He has no fucking respect for anyone in this house if he's just going to take what he wants. And if he's not going to respect me, then I'm damn sure not going to respect him. I'm done with his ass. I'm done being nice. I'm sick of his crap. And if it continues, I'm going to have more words with the roommate about it. I'm going to tell him, look, we cannot have this guy here. He steals shit. We know he steals shit. We know damn well he steals food, and he's stolen money from you and me before. You know? And we can't have someone like that in the house. It's just not smart. But, yeah, it's just... So, I had a ferocious week. But a good week, a good earnings week, that's for damn sure. Because this week I had some overtime. I had a lot of overtime, in fact. One of our supervisors came up to me and said, hey man, can you possibly come in early on Sunday? That is, last Sunday, of course. I'm like, yeah, why? He's like, well, I've got a double truck coming, and all of my people are off. So he's like, I don't want everyone in there all day without ever getting to the floor. So I'm going to have you and 3 others come in 2 hours early, and then stay as late as needed. So I ended up coming in at noon and leaving at 1 a.m. And I got quite a bit from that. And Wednesday, I had my friend come over to start the yard work, which is coming along real nice, by the way. And, oh, I mentioned that. Or no, that was this week. I mentioned that. Wednesday already passed. No. We also started recording 7 Days to Die. Because he and I are doing a 7 Days to Die co-op playthrough. It's not really quite a let's play. It's more just us fucking around, having fun. When I get about 6 or 7 episodes down, we'll probably start uploading it, but I have no idea what the upload schedule will be or what the recording schedule will be. And as summer picks up and his yard work comes in more, recordings will become a lot more sporadic. But in the meantime, we have what we have. But it's just a fun little thing. It's me and one of my friends goofing off, playing 7 Days, trying to survive. The game is basically set up for escalating difficulty. Like for the first couple days, no zombies. And once we have a horde night, which happens every 7 days, the next morning we set the zombies to the next highest spawn rating. And there are 6 spawn ratings, so pretty soon the game might just be untenable for us. But we'll see. Also, I finally have latches for my door. The plan had been to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get a new door. And I even pulled out money early, which I didn't want to do, to get a new door. But the door they had, or the doors that were in my price range that would have fit my room, etc., weren't in stock, and we'd have had to wait like 2 weeks for them. And I didn't want to, so I'm like, fuck it, let's get a latch instead. Turns out the latch, 2 of them in fact, cost me $1.50 basically. And it works wonders. So all this time, for $1.50 I could have stopped Oreo from escaping. It's just we never went and got the latches. Now, let's talk fun shit. And one of the reasons why I have no money right now. Yesterday, I went to SeaWorld. Yeah, it was awesome. What happened was I wanted to go to Adventure Island because I had fun last year when I went. And rather than just, keep going to Adventure Island and paying the ticket price, I decided to get a Platinum annual pass. There are 4 levels: Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum. And Platinum obviously includes everything, plus shit that none of the other passes do. And it includes that over all the parks. And, my friend's wife was going to get, like, a bronze pass or a silver pass and just pay $5 to add other parks to it or something. And she ended up going with Platinum, partly because of me, partly just on her own. And I'll get into that in a minute. But the plan had always been, we're going to use this and go to Adventure Island. Well, then, I don't remember if I noticed it or she brought up the fact that the same Adventure Islands and Busch Gardens, which are, covered by the pass, are owned by the same company that has SeaWorld, and that SeaWorld is included in that. And I naturally made the joke, like, oh, we should go to SeaWorld, and she's like, well, I don't know what's going on Saturday, because I have 2 Saturdays in a row off. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what's going on. SeaWorld's going on without us, and that's inexcusable. And I, partly joking, because I did want to go to SeaWorld, kept, badgering her about it, and soon enough, we're going to fucking SeaWorld. Can't argue with that. And see, I didn't think SeaWorld would be a thing for us. Like, I didn't think we were just going to go to SeaWorld, because, we live near Tampa. It's not that big a drive to go to Tampa. So, going to Busch Gardens, going to Adventure Island, that's kind of a day trip. I mean, keep in mind, when I lived in Largo and was playing HeroClix, we would go to Tampa weekly, sometimes more than weekly. And that was just kind of a day trip for us. We'd go to Tampa, we'd play Clicks, we'd come home. No big deal. Spend like 45 minutes in the car, you're done. Orlando, it's a bit of a hike. And I figured she's not just going to drop shit to take her husband's friend, and possibly her husband and son, to Orlando so he can go to SeaWorld. Well, it turns out, yeah, she will. So, we went to SeaWorld yesterday. And our Platinum passes cover a lot of shit. Like, for one thing, I can get into SeaWorld, any of the SeaWorlds. I can go to San Antonio or San Diego and get into their SeaWorld. I can get into Aquatica, which is basically the Orlando version of Adventure Island, which I imagine is bigger and better. I can get into Adventure Island or Busch Gardens, and I think I get discounts on Discovery Cove. And that's fun. On top of that, there's a thing called Photo Key, and you get that for free. Normally, Photo Key costs about $70, and I think it's just for the one trip. It might just be full-time, like what I have. But I thought it was like, oh, I get a free Photo Key thing, like, oh, this trip to the park is covered. But no, for me, it's a yearly, annual thing. And what it is any time photos are taken of me in the park, like if you go down a ride that snaps your picture, you get it on your Photo Key. And so I have photos of that. I have photos of me going on a ride called Infinity Falls twice. And no, that wasn't me bragging, I went on it twice. That was me like, I went on it twice. See, the problem with Infinity Falls is we went on it for various reasons, most of which had to do with the ride being closed a couple times and us doing other shit throughout the day. But we went on it as the sun was going down, which meant as the temperature was dropping, so it was harder to dry off. Infinity Falls is a soggy-ass ride. I was soaked from head to toe. I mean, for the rest of the night, I didn't carry my own shit anymore. It was in a bag because of Infinity Falls. I spent the whole day in SeaWorld with all my shit in my pockets until we did Infinity Falls, and then it just sat in a bag. But our Platinum Passes have a thing where we can do Ride Again, where basically we stay on the ride, and we did. A lot of other people, for whatever reason, I think they were on the quick queue or something, and they had to get off and get on again. We just sat right where we were. And my main concern is the ride has a drop. I don't like drops. This one was not bad at all. Like, it didn't fuck with me. It didn't fuck with my my cowardice about dropping from large heights. So that was cool. Also, you get once per year with the annual pass, you get a free animal encounter. There's one at Busch Gardens and one at SeaWorld. I'm not a Busch Gardens guy, so I chose the SeaWorld one. You know, I might go to Busch Gardens and regret that later, but I intend to have money in the future when I go to parks, so I'll be able to buy the damn thing. My animal encounter was a dolphin. So I got to, for a couple minutes, apparently it was a half an hour, it sure didn't feel like it, but I got to play with, pet, and feed a dolphin. Named Nigel. So that's fun. And Nigel was a little cutie. He was adorable. Big, goofy rubber baby is what he was. And he was a total sweetheart. He was, I got soaked, but not from my dolphin, from one of the other people's dolphins. And they also have a thing where you can, like, feed the animals. Like, I wanted to feed them, but I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I don't have a lot of money to get through the rest of the month. And it probably costs, like, $40 to feed the animals, because that's a big draw. No, it costs $5 for a single tray of fish. Or you can pay $10 and get 3 trays of fish. So for the price of 2, you're getting 3. And I mentioned to my friend and his wife, I'm like, I'm going to feed the stingrays. Are you interested in feeding the stingrays? They're like, oh, I don't want to pay for it. And I'm like, no, it costs $10 for 3 trays. So for the price of 2, I can get 3, and there are 3 of us. If you want to feed the stingrays, I will spend the $10, and we will all feed the stingrays. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we fed the stingrays, which was really cool. If you've never fed a stingray, it is a bit of an experience. They're pretty chill animals. They're reasonably friendly. And they have little vacuum cleaner mouths. Like, they swim over you and just slurp it up like a fucking noodle. No teeth, no nothing. A couple times my stingray missed the fish and ended up kind of sucking on my hand trying to get the fish. But it was pretty damn cool. As I told one little girl who was watching me feed them, because she was, like, interested in feeding them herself, it's like, does it hurt? Whatever? I'm like, no. Honestly, the worst part is touching the fish. And it was. And I'm not saying the fish was gross. I'm saying the whole thing was so relaxed and casual that literally was the worst part of it. And, of course, later on we went to the shark area where they had a couple sharks and some tuna and rays swimming around, and we fed them. Then later on we got to the sea lions, and this time my friend's wife paid for it, and I got to feed some sea lions. And the best part about sea lions is they're smart enough to know that when they do cute shit, like clap at you, or wave at you, or bark at you, it gets our attention and we feed them more. And so there was one who was just incessantly waving to the crowd. And he was also standing next to another one that looked kind of sad. So people would try to feed him, and he'd just lean a little bit to the right and snap it right out of the air. He was a total shithead. But really, can you blame him? I mean, it's not like that's their food. Like, that's them performing so they can eat. That's snacks, you know. That's doing tricks for dog treats is what it is. And, really, dude? And he just happened to be really good at performing for treats. And you know what? More power to him. It's a clever little sea lion. Oh, well, at least it did the thing. So yeah, I fed all the animals while I was there, and that was a lot of fun. And I got to pet some of the stingrays, which is cool. And we did all sorts of stuff. I got a lot of pictures, actually. And not just from PhotoKey. I have some pictures that are just shit that I snap pictures of. But we spent the whole day there. I was actually the driest person in the splash zone of the Shamu area, because after we got off Infinity Falls, I'm sitting there shivering and miserable, and she's laughing her butt off. My friend didn't go on the ride because he had an upset stomach. But she's like, "Do you want a towel?" I'm like, "Yes." We got off the ride, and I told my friend, "I'm sorry, man, I'm going to kill your wife." But, so she got me a towel, and that towel was drenched by the time anything was done, just because I was that soggy. Just the mere act of touching me soaked that fucking towel. But we went into the Shamu show with it, One Ocean specifically. And every time we got splashed, I'd just lift that towel up, and I'd get like a little on the shoulder, or a little on the leg, or the water would hit the ground behind me and get my butt wet. But they're dripping wet, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, yeah, I had a towel, bitches. And then, of course, after the Orca show, I finally talked her into letting us use the dryer. They have people dryers. These big-ass fucking... It's a walk-in space heater is what it is. And that got me mostly dry, as well as my clothes. I mean, clothes are still soggy, fucking towel soggy as shit. But I was dry enough to be comfortable again. And then, of course, we rode home. I caught like a half-hour nap in the car, and then stayed up and bullshitted with them a little while. Then I came home, fed the critters, and went to bed, because that's what I do. And I'm off again Wednesday, and we're probably going to hang out. He may or may not be doing more yard work. And this coming Saturday, I'm going to Adventure Island with them. And that's going to be a lot of fun, because I like to swim. And the funny thing, and I said this, is if Infinity Falls had been at Adventure Island, I'd have had the time of my life, because I'd already be wet, so I'd want to continue being wet, you know? But it wasn't, and I wasn't. I was having none of that, you know? And it wasn't really hot enough to be at the point where you're like, oh, I need this so that I can survive as a person. No, it was a nice day out. Also, I got to see some penguins and a beluga whale and some walruses and shit. It was a good day. And I found out something rather distressing that, and I knew to an extent about this with the whole Blackfish documentary, which, fuck those people, I hope they die horribly. You know, the people who made that documentary. Apparently, I knew they weren't going to be doing, like, captive, or keeping orcas captive and shit, but apparently they've also stopped breeding them. So, when these orcas that they have finally die off, there will be no more orcas, and no more orca show. And everyone's like, oh, that's so great. No, that's horrible. Because, here's the thing. When you go to the One Ocean Shamu show, and you see this gargantuan orca just leap out of the fucking water, or slide gracefully out of the water, and just let its trainer pet it and snuggle it and do all this fun shit that it's doing. And you see how cute and how majestic these things fucking are. You give a shit, you know? Steve Irwin said something that was along the lines of, paraphrasing here, like, gone are the days of the long lens. I want to bring you with me. I want to bring these into your living room. I want you to see them and touch them and feel them. I want you to love them, because if you love them, you'll want to protect them, you know? And that's what SeaWorld does. Because here's the thing. I read a lot. I know about bottlenose dolphins. I know they're little shits. They're little assholes, you know? They really are. They can be temperamental, they can be mean, they can be spiteful. They're more than a little rapey in the wild. You know, they're not as cute and friendly as you think they are. Don't get me wrong, they're not evil either. They genuinely like people, they help people. All the things you've heard about dolphins are true. But it's also true that they're little assholes. And as the woman said when we were there, it's like, please don't take pictures of them. It's not we don't want you to take pictures of our animals, it's that our dolphins are thieves. And they know how to jump over the wall and grab things out of your hands, and they will do so. You know? And here's the thing. Despite knowing all that shit, as I'm petting Nigel, I'm sitting like, oh my god, he's just an adorable little rubber baby and I love him, you know? And when you take that away with the orcas, you're taking that away. Because nothing you read, nothing you see on YouTube is going to prepare you for that shit in real life. I've seen orcas before. And no less than 3 times during that show did I utter the phrase, I forgot how fucking huge they are. And they are. They're massive. I forgot how big dolphins are. You know? And I had little dolphins. But it was something, man. But I mean, that's something like, oh, Blackfish is protecting, Blackfish is hurting things. You know? Here's the thing. Wild isn't necessarily the best. And Blackfish is very much like Super Size Me in that it's kind of a bullshit documentary that was designed to advance an agenda. And it did so at the expense of everyone else. Because like, oh, we don't want them doing tricks. Oh, you want them in that cage bored? Because a lot of their their animals are rescues. You know? They're not just trapped out in the wild. They can't survive in the wild for one reason or another. And that's the only enrichment they get. I mean, imagine, for example, that you're in a hospital. You know, you got to go into the hospital, you broke your leg or something. Or, fuck it, you're in the hospital. Your leg turned into a rutabaga. And they're de-rutabagging your leg. And you have to sit in the hospital bed for 7 weeks. Now, imagine someone made a documentary about people with rutabagas for legs. Like, oh, they're being exploited, etc., etc. And now your hospital bed doesn't have a TV, no crossword puzzles, no video games, and you're not allowed visitors. Everything you could have done that would have made that stay bearable is now taken away from you. And of course, the next documentary talks about how people with rutabaga legs are slaughtering everyone at the hospital and no one can figure out why. I can figure out why. It's because you took away their enrichment. And people are confused, like, oh, why are they attacking their trainers? I can tell you why. Because every animal has a bad day. They all do. Willow is one of the sweetest cats in the world. She is an absolute cuddlebug. She is a total darling. She loves everyone and everything. There are days when she got so spooked just by some sudden movement or whatever that I did that she shredded the ever-loving fuck out of me. There are days when I can't touch Oreo because she's just having none of it. You know? There are days for Maya where every single touch you do to her makes her shriek like you just punched her or set her on fire or something. You know? Where any touch just makes her lose her goddamn mind. Every animal has a bad day. If you've had a pet, I don't care how sweet your pet is, it's bit you at least once. It just has. If you've handled it, it's bit you. Doesn't mean your animal's mean, just means it fucking bit you. Now, imagine your animal weighs 6 tons and has teeth designed for tearing flesh. When it has a bad day, you have a bad day. Doesn't mean the animal's mean. Doesn't mean the animal hates you. That animal might still love you to death. It just had a shitty day that ruined yours. You know? And that's what the whole orcas attacking humans is. When you're around them for long periods of time, it happens. I mean, yeah, orcas haven't ever, to my knowledge, still haven't ever attacked a human in the wild. But how much time in the wild do humans spend around orcas? Compared to when they're in SeaWorld and the orca spends its entire life around them. You know? Motherfucker. Let me put it this way. If you're a person who doesn't own a cat, your chances of getting scratched by a cat are slim to none. I have 4 cats, one of which is front declawed, but still has her back claws. Every day, my chances of getting scratched by a cat are like, if not 100%, then close to it. Because I get little nicks and scratches every day from these girls. Because I'm around them constantly, and that's just something that happens with them. And it's the same thing with the orcas, you know? When you're not around an orca 24/7, your chances of getting mauled by an orca or finding the one orca that wants to maul you, pretty goddamn slim. When you live and work with them, chances go up. And eventually, it just happens. It's how this works. Siegfried and Roy with the tiger, you know? How many tigers have they had over the years that never did a goddamn thing to them? Tiger had one bad night. Even they said, look, he had a bad night. You know? I know my friend is mauled. I know I'm mauled, etc. Don't take it out on him. He had a bad night. And meanwhile, comedians like, I think Chris Rock said it, are also correct that the tiger didn't go crazy. The tiger went tiger, you know? It's just a thing they do, and you have to remember that. I love my cats, but I also need to remember that these adorable cats are also killing machines. And they will use those killing implements on me every now and then. Here's a little thing that I didn't know that I found out yesterday while petting little Nigel. He's covered in scars. All over him. And I asked, like, what is this? And it's teeth marks. Because apparently, dolphins mouth each other, just like cats and dogs do. Didn't know that. It's just a thing I learned yesterday. Now remember, I've read up on dolphins. I've seen dolphin things. I've talked to people who knew dolphins. That's a thing I learned yesterday at SeaWorld because I was allowed to touch a dolphin. I never would have known that if not for that. Now that's one human being learning one thing about an animal from SeaWorld because I was allowed to interact with the animal in a safe environment, you know? There was no risk of the dolphin, you know, getting too playful and knocking me underwater and drowning me. There was no worries that the dolphin was going to suddenly have enough of me and just start battering me with its nose until I was dead. You know, or any of the other things that dolphins have done when they attack people. This was a human and a dolphin having a nice little chat, and the human learned something about the dolphin. And that's why places like SeaWorld are really important, you know. But, yeah, I mentioned earlier that I would go into this. The reason why I have so little money today, or just in general right now, is because SeaWorld had a thing that I opted to. I spent the better part of an hour and a half debating over this, but they had a thing called all-day dining, where you pay basically $40, and you get every hour, at pretty much all of the restaurants, you get an entree, a side, or a dessert, and a drink for free. And turns out my Platinum Pass discounted that, so that was nice. And I ate at a minimum $60 of food, because since it was free, I didn't bother to look at how much it costs until the last meal. And so I had a lot of food yesterday. Basically, anytime I was hungry, I ate. And for someone who's been poor, you don't know what that's like, to know that, hey, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat something. It was a real treat for me. It's the simple things in life you fucking treasure, man. So, between that and playing for all the fish snacks and all that, I have very little money. I basically said, I'm gonna borrow from the roommate like $40 or so because I'm making enough off this next check that I won't even feel that. Because all my bills are front-loaded in the month, you know? And sooner or later what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get it to the point where the late checks pay for some of the stuff in the front of the month and so on. But right now, my finances are kind of up in the air. But yeah, I had a lot of fun at SeaWorld. I expect to do a lot of swimming in another 6 days. And I've got a couple days of work ahead of me. I passed my Pathways exam, actually, the other day. That being the thing you need to basically graduate to a full employee. Like, if you don't pass your Pathways, you're fired. Or rather, if you don't pass it after 3 attempts, you're fired. And I got it in 1, so that's cool. I have had it confirmed that in order to be written up, they basically have to bring you in and have you sign something, so there's no chance, none whatsoever, that I could have ever been written up without knowing it. And I don't know about being written up. And so the 2 ways, well, the 3 ways that I could lose my job are to be written up, I want to say 3 times within a time period, which hasn't happened. Attendance, which hasn't happened. I've been there early every single day. Or committing a felony on the job, which happened to one of my coworkers, actually. He, for whatever reason, decided to try to steal someone's $1,000 iPhone and got caught and got fired on the spot. So my job's looking nice and stable. I'm making good money off it, and I'm able to go to theme parks finally. So it's basically just a matter of lining up Saturdays. Like, oh, I have this Saturday off. Oh, so do I. Let's go to a theme park. Yay! You know. I mean, in an ideal situation, I'd be going twice a month. Like once at the start and once at the end, just because that's when my checks line up and I want to have money to spend. But yeah, I pretty much decided that from this point on, I will always buy the meal ticket, because there's no reason not to. It is so good. It's as I jokingly described it to a friend, it's the infinite food bracelet. And it's a lot of fun. And because it's at a water park, it's heavily water resistant, so I can take it on any of the rides or to any of the splashy shows and not worry that it's going to crumble off my wrist. Matter of fact, last night before bed I had to physically cut it off myself to get it off. It's on there pretty good. And this Wednesday I'm hoping to see some movies. I've been meaning to, but I keep procrastinating, or the weather goes against me, or something else comes up, you know. So I haven't done it, but I'm gonna have to see them Wednesday. So odds are pretty good that this Wednesday, for This Week in Kyrix, I'll talk about the movies I saw, or something like that. I don't know. I might do them on Thursday. I might do This Week in Kyrix on Tuesday. The good news is, next week I've got 2 Tuesdays off, so it'll be a return to Pokemon, and that's nice. So yeah, so far this penitentiary is pretty good. Beats the hell out of that other place. So anyway, we're going to call it here. We're going to savor that uprising, because fuck that place. And I'll see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.